welcome to Jazz 625, the British jazz explosion. Last year we brought you a special show celebrating the golden era of 1960s jazz and one of the most iconic jazz TV shows of all time, the BBC's Jazz 625. But tonight is all about another golden era, right now. Not since the 60s has the UK jazz scene been so strong, with a wealth of homegrown talent who are gaining big audiences and attention worldwide. And guess what? Many of those new jazz stars are in the studio tonight. I'm Jam Supernova, and my co-host is the incredibly talented young man behind me, Moses Boyd. Okay, so let's kick things off with a band that you could call the true pioneers of the scene. They're a trailblazing supergroup, and if like me you've massively missed festivals and live music, then you are in for a treat. Here are the mighty Sons of Kemet performing My Queen is Albertina Sisulu.
That was the incredible Sons of Kemet performing My Queen is Albertina Sisulu from their 2018 album, Your Queen is a Reptile. And they'll be back at the end of the show to treat us to a world premiere of a track from their new album.
This week is the EFG London Jazz Festival, which this year, like everything, has gone entirely virtual. Because as you know, Moses, it's been a crazy year for live music, which makes tonight even more special. There's something for everyone, the jazz purist, the new jazz lover, and even you at home who might think that jazz isn't your thing. Moses, tell them the lineup.
We've got some amazing artists here tonight. Check this out. We have Ezra Collective, Poppy Ajudha, Matthew Horsell, Nubya Garcia, Sarathi Kawar, and Kokoroko.
And of course, this very dapper young man, Moses Boyd, you're performing. You look fantastic.
Thank you. You try to be like you, Jans.
Trying to be like you. For the next 90 minutes, we'll be experiencing every musical emotion and tempo. We've got some mellow vibes and tracks to get you up dancing. So, to get you even more hyped, let's find out more about this exciting chapter in UK jazz.
Wow, jazz in the UK, what's going on? Everything's going on, music's going on. Whatever's going on outside of jazz is going on in jazz. Do you hear what I'm saying?
You know, just this level of musicianship that is just truly very special.
That step to require audiences to do more, to not just sit down and be passive in the sort of music experience. They're active, you know what I mean? They're not just listeners, they're participators.
It's been really exciting to hear everyone release something that captures their voice, and that's been big as a family as a whole.
You've taken something that was very local, very DIY, very community orientated, and you've got press, you've got magazines, you've got TV, you've got fashion.
You know, you got the attention from all over the world. Sometimes I look at my calendar and it's like, whoa, you went to every single continent to play your own music, which was born out of Enfield in North London. Do you know what I mean? So it's like how broad it's got, how widely accepted it's become, but still how small it still is. It's still Nubya from down the road.
Since we were young, in our very formative musical years, friendship is what has bonded us, and music has also bonded us.
It doesn't just sound like one person's music, it does really sound like a community music that they're bringing out.
You've got a generation of people that are being influenced by your Charlie Parkers, your John Coltrane's, your Wayne Shorters, your Duke Ellingtons, but have grown up understanding what sound system culture is, how it feels, the importance of standing by a bass bin, you know what I mean, Notting Hill Carnival, all of these very important cultural landmarks and sounds and sonics, and it's that is influencing their music. The way it can kind of draw different people together, different communities together.
The music will always evolve, and jazz is such a small term for something that's so big.
It's an untouchable sound, you know, it has so many elements that ground it, but at the same time, I feel like every single movement has moved it along, moved the journey along, moved the conversation along as well.
Throughout history, it's always been a snapshot of the moment. It's always captured historically the politics of the moment, experiences of the moment.
This music is for everyone and everybody. It's people that think like that allowed me to get into jazz music. But then I also think you can't be something if you can't see it.
Jazz is black music. The recognition of that fact goes a long way in the development and evolution of jazz and the way we see it today.
And I see us as adding a chapter to the story of black British music and black music. That's purpose enough, to be honest.
That was an incredible film. I am now joined by multi-reedist, composer Shabaka Hutchins, a key figure in the UK music scene. How are you doing, Shabaka?
I'm good, thanks.
Nice. And how does it feel watching that film?
Yeah, it feels great. It feels great to know that there's a landmark to celebrate the trajectory of where the music's come from. Because obviously the music that we make hasn't come out of a bubble. It comes from a line of us all learning from what's come before. So it's great to see that the recognition of how the past has influenced and ended up as the present. You know.
And how does it feel to be here amongst our peers, having our own Jazz 625?
It feels great, you know. I mean, it just feels like what normally happens because we all know each other and we all hang out. So it doesn't feel like anything out of the ordinary. It feels like just a bunch of friends coming together and making music.
Incredible. And you've been a busy guy. You had a show this week with the EFG London Jazz Festival, playing clarinet in the Britten Sinfonia. Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's quite nerve-wracking because for the last couple of years I've been traveling the world playing the saxophone really loud, and then I had to get back to my classical training. But I think, you know, a lot of musical principles are universal. So the lessons that I had to relearn to blend and play with a classical ensemble are things that I'll take to the jazz context when they're needed.
Incredible. Now, we asked Shabaka to pick a piece of Jazz 625 archive footage. You chose Coleman Hawkins. Can you talk to us about your choice?
I love Coleman Hawkins. Just the vibe that I get from him, the presence of him on stage, it really feels like he's got a very solid, stately presence, and it's something that I've always wanted to get with my music, even beyond the way that he swings and phrases. I think that his actual focus when he's playing the saxophone and really kind of digging into the rhythm is really admirable.
Incredible. Let's get into some of that archive footage from Coleman Hawkins.
From the Jazz 625 archive, Coleman Hawkins performing live from Wembley Town Hall in 1964. Next up, we have one of the most energetic live bands on the scene. Over the last few years, they've flown the UK jazz flag, playing sold-out shows across the world. They're friends, they're brothers, and for me, their music captures the energy of inner-city London. Their performance on the West Holt stage at Glastonbury 2019 was the highlight of my summer. And here they are performing for you tonight. Give it up at home for Ezra Collective.
Collective, Ife Gunjobi on the trumpet, James Mollison on the tenor saxophone, Joe Armon-Jones on the keys, TJ Colioso on bass, and my name is Femi Colioso on the drums. That was the Dark Side Rhythm. The next song we're going to play encapsulates everything about us. Next up is You Can't Steal My Joy.
That was the incredible Ezra Collective performing the title track from their album, You Can't Steal My Joy.
The studio's filled with amazing musicians tonight, and they really are like a family. They grew up together and have built the scene from the ground up. But musical movements need spaces to be nurtured. So here's an insight into the venues and events that help to build this scene.
A DIY mentality has influenced everything about this movement. From radio and labels to the places we gather and play together. But we weren't the first generation to do this. Underground jazz music has always been rooted in a DIY approach.
There's a very, very strong tradition of independent thinking in jazz, and people setting up their own labels, setting up collectives, setting up associations that reaches right back in time. I think when you see musicians taking over a small space, that basically invokes this historical lineage. They don't want to be constrained by an entertainment industry which is essentially restrictive.
Some of my favorite memories have happened in spaces run by our community. From Jazz Refreshed to Good Evening Arts, and from Steam Down to the Total Refreshment Center and Church of Sound. our community is built on a network of grassroots spaces that work for performances, rehearsals, recording, and everything in between.
You need the underground culture to support, nourish, and nurture other things. You need the spaces, which are usually do-it-yourself kind of establishments run by musicians or creatives or people that just care to nurture the next generation.
A place you could say it all started for many of us is the Jam and Club Night Steez, which was at the Fox and Firkin pub in Lewisham. It's a place very dear to my heart and so important for our scene and community.
I'm glad that we're speaking about Steez right now because it had a special place. It was a community and it was a place I was free to make mistakes, be vulnerable and enjoy myself. Some of the best and worst ever gigs Ezra Collective have played were in Steez. Friends that I met in Steez are still people that I make music with till this day.
There have been times when I've gone to gigs and like someone will jump up just out of the crowd because they happen to have their tuba with them or they have their sax with them, and it's like, oh yeah, it's just, you know, it just instantly interlocks.
In the black community, it really is kind of that DIY mentality of just like, you know, it's kind of what we're born into. I watch my parents do that, you know what I mean? We've spent our lives in black music and running different events and putting on different shows, and the reality is that you kind of have to find your own space. You have to find ways of doing it yourself.
A night with deep roots in its own community that's renowned for its raucous jam sessions is Steam Down in Deptford.
So I think Steam Down, what they did in South London was really important, saying, okay, we're going to create something which belongs to us.
There's a kind of implicit recognition that everyone has a role and that all of our roles are important. Your role might be the head nodder at the back. Your role might be the person who's the first person on the dance floor and is expressing themselves to give other people permission to join in, perform. So there's a real awareness that everybody is making the music.
Any young black jazz musician knows what it's like to play to an all-white, middle-aged crowd. Which is cool, but these spaces allow us to reach our people.
I think it's so important to be able to see ourselves not only on the stage and in the music, but also in the audience, in and around the music and the community around it.
It's just us doing our thing, and that is great. Like dance and music go together. It's part of the cultural DNA, and I think that is how our culture is.
In spite of all this doing it ourselves, it's still tough out there.
I mean, this generation of musicians have it so rough, and you can see that in the number of venues which have been closed. It's gentrification. We never ask white middle-class people who move into more kind of sonically rich areas to integrate into a more sonically rich environment. And I feel like this question of integration should be applied in all directions. We should all be required to integrate into the communities we join. And sometimes that means on a Friday or a Saturday night, there might be some noise. And that is good. There should be noise.
Just watching that, you can really feel the DIY spirit of the scene. I mean, Moses, you must have so many fond memories.
So many fond memories, and just, you know, thinking back to all the incredible nights of music, playing with musicians and jamming in those spaces and meeting a lot of interesting people, you know, people like Sarathi. You know, Sarathi, our next guest, he's one of my favorite collaborators. He's a classically trained tabla player, an incredible composer, and a drum kit player. Sarathi likes to combine traditional Indian music with jazz, and that's something that was also a passion for Joe Harriott. Tonight, Sarathi is going to play a version of the title track from this 1969 album, where Joe Harriott teamed up with Indian guitarist Amancio da Silva. This is Hum Donna.
Sarathi Korwa performing Humdono, which works so well because both Joe Harriet and Sarathi Korwa incorporated their heritage into their music. Joe Harriet was born in Jamaica and brought a Caribbean flavour to the 60s British jazz scene. Now, Moses, both of you and I have Caribbean heritage, so we know how much of an impact it's made on UK music.
Definitely, and another important impact on UK music is African music. You know, there's been a long history and tradition of African musicians influencing what's gone on in the UK. If you look at South African musicians like Dudu Bukwana, Louis Maholo, and what they did in the 70s with jazz musicians here. Also with Afrobeat, Fela Kuti, Sonny Okersons, Tony Allen, you know, that innovation and integration with UK and African music. It's carried on right up until now, really.
It definitely has. All you have to do is look at some of the most popular music that we have and some of the artists that are really carrying that African pride, from Kojo Funds, Pastor Lou to Jay Huss, so many.
Definitely, and a band that exemplifies this best is Kokoroko. Here they are performing a track called Carry Me Home. Take it away, guys.
Thank you very much. That's a tune entitled Carry Me Home. We are Kokoroko. Hope you guys have enjoyed that tune. The next tune we're going to play is a tune entitled Baba Ayo Ola. Hope you guys enjoy.
What an amazing performance from Kokoroko. I'm now joined by Nubya Garcia. How does it feel seeing your friends do performances like that here tonight?
Oh, it's a treat. It's beautiful. I think I'm such a big fan of the music that my friends are creating. I'm always there to support it, to be honest. I think it should be shared as much as possible.
Definitely, and I feel like there's such a collective spirit, and I know you said you go to the shows and stuff, but what do you do when everyone's winning so much? How else do you support?
I just just like revel in the joy, you know, whether it's watching someone play and you're seeing how much fun that they're having with the people that they're on stage with, and telling people who haven't heard about them, you know, whether you're traveling or on tour or anything like that. It's just trying to share the music as much as possible is a form of the celebration of it, I think.
And you've had your own success, a debut album out, so congratulations on that. So we asked you to pick a track from the Jazz 625 archives. What have you gone for?
I was going through the archives, right, and I thought it was amazing. I chose a clip from the Dizzy Gillespie performance with James Moody, and I chose this because I really just love the clip and I wanted to share it with everyone, so I hope they enjoy it at home.
Well, let's take a look. Here's Dizzy Gillespie and his band from a 1965 edition of Jazz 625 playing And Then She Stopped. Great choice, a true legend of bebop jazz, trumpet master Dizzy Gillespie and his band on Jazz 625 in 1965. Nubya has now joined her band on stage and they're ready to perform a version of a classic Blue Note tune from this 1967 album. Playing McCoy Tyner's Contemplation, it's Nubya Garcia.
Thank you very much. My name is Nubya Garcia. On keys, Joe Armon-Jones. On double bass, Daniel Casimir. On drums, Sam Jones. This track is called In a Game, and I hope you enjoy. Thank you.
Nubya Garcia and her quartet featuring the busiest man of the night, Joe Armon-Jones on keys. Yes, you saw him with Ezra Collective earlier too. Coming up, we have a very special performance from Matthew Horsell and his band. But before we hear Matthew, let's find out more about the rich sonic landscape of the Manchester jazz scene.
Manchester is a city with a strong independent approach to music, and that includes jazz. The Cinematic Orchestra and Go-Go Penguin both have their roots in the city and are pushing a bold and different sound.
Manchester's got a very long history. It's always been very strong music-wise, and that continues. There's been a real resurgence among the younger musicians who are incorporating lots of elements of other music because they've grown up with this music, but they've also discovered jazz somewhere along the way. Jazz it's a living thing, like language. So it's always heartening to see the younger generation now using all these elements of other musics, but still making the music predominantly improvised and definitely jazz at its heart.
This new generation are taking Manchester's independent spirit and pushing the music in new directions.
Manchester doesn't have the same platforms that maybe London does. We can't sit around and wait. We just have to we're gonna have to have a gig somehow. And that's not to hate on what's happening in London, because it's beautiful and it's really cool because it's all these interesting communities coming together, but it's also happening there, and we have our own stories and experiences up here in Manchester, and we're kind of all doing our thing.
I don't think you can compare Manchester to London in the same way because it's so much smaller. It's not got the same kind of infrastructure musically, the jazz scene, but there are so many musicians that cross these genres. So like the hip hop scene, the jazz scene, and there's so much crossover in that. I do think there's a Manchester kind of sound in all of that.
Manchester has become a hub for a more spiritual jazz sound in recent years, with Matthew Halsall and his label Gondwana Records at its centre.
There definitely came to be a new influence, I think, among the younger players of the kind of music that I've really been into for a long time, which is the sort of so-called spiritual jazz music of John Coltrane and Pharoah Sanders, etc., which never really used to be there. I think Matthew Halsall had a great deal to do with it because he was very forward-thinking in his approach to making music. He's a great musician and he has really great musical concepts, but he also is very organised in his approach to getting his music out there.
I wasn't great at school. I've got dyslexia and I kind of think in a different way. My parents moved me to a school that was called the Maharishi School. I was doing transcendental meditation and yoga and studying Buddhist and Indian philosophies and doing my GCSEs as well, but also listening to Alice Coltrane and Pharoah Sanders and Don Cherry. And you can imagine that just everything came together so nicely. It was a real spiritual, special time for me. I think music can be really powerful. There's a meditative quality that you can get out of music, and that's the thing I've always got excited about.
A lovely spiritual performance by Matthew Halsall and his band. Next up, something really special. The tuba isn't necessarily the first instrument you might think of when it comes to funk, but in the right hands, it delivers a killer bass line. To prove that, here's Theon Cross. You saw him earlier with Sons of Kemet, and now he's here performing with rapper and astrophysicist Consensus.
Yo. Look, you ain't ready for, in any form, to know right now what you then ignored. The soul I serve is a wedding for. I told you I fly into heliports. To tell you again, would you then endorse what lives inside of the very core? The heart that Lennon wore, cause with the song strong became a legend for. To sell in form, the mistress type they sniff in line with the seven dwarfs. It's more than they locked up Kerry for. I said it's more than they locked up Kerry for. Real with the verbs, real with the verse. Focus on my true meaning of the words. If your people are cursed, we will reverse, deeper rehearse, cause there's no superior person. Music's music to make it not hard, and you don't have to be on the grind to relate to my boss. When I came at the start, I was making them laugh. MCs, I could take them apart in school attention. I paid it in class, too painfully smart to mention. Support attention, prevention, raising my arms even if I couldn't answer questions. I pass and tested, got 9 A's and A-star at GCSE. Advanced auxiliary, 3 A's and a C at GCE. Got 2 A's and a B, then straight to uni. My brain is unique, I spare a fool to all. Friends and the ends appearing, look, engineering. I was doing aeronautical, trust me, I fly from here to Portugal. Before I knew racists made up faith. Before the faithless used idolatry to make faces change up faith. Before politics went with different words for when scientists worked out words. Before they all changed their definitions, but they didn't update us first. I used to think I'm Floyd, more time I wait, I'm quiz. Most times it's just say when, more time there waits some words. My boys aren't boys, they're men. Those guys aren't men, they're boys. You're dreaming beef from Fred. You're vegans eating soy, enjoy.
Theon Cross, a true linchpin of the UK scene, holding down the low end there while simultaneously bringing the tuba to the forefront. A brilliant performance there with rapper Consensus. But now I'm taking over, and this is Stranger Than Fiction. That was Stranger Than Fiction. The next tune we're gonna play is a song called BTB.
Amazing performance from my wonderful co-host and the country's most important drummer, Moses Boyd, performing tracks from his Mercury-nominated album, Dark Matter. Jazz has always had an each one teach one philosophy, and many of the musicians in the studio tonight got their break through an organisation called Tomorrow's Warriors. The Warriors is a really important jazz institution that has brought through generations of great British musicians. Let's find out more.
I'm here at the South Bank. I met up with Sheila Maurice Gray and Nubya Garcia today, and we just dropped in on a Tomorrow's Warriors rehearsal, which was being led by Gary Crosby, who's the creative director. Well, it's important to come back to Tomorrow's Warriors, just because that's how the music gets taught. It's people older than us, we hang with them and we learn from them. That's what it was like for me when I was younger and going to the Warriors workshops. When you're really hungry to learn, that's like amazing. You can see that they have careers and they're artists out there doing their thing.
In my mind, it always felt like a youth centre, community centre for jazz music. We've done so many gigs there, so many hours, alongside, bringing more diversity to the musical world is Each One Teach One. So now I would go back and do stuff. Theon Cross would go back and do a masterclass. Shirley Tete goes back and leads the female collective. Tomorrow's Warriors is still at the core of like my musical family. I met most of my band actually from there.
The majority of people that are coming in to learn jazz are already listening to jazz. So you're listening to these near enough experts. That's your starting point, and that's detrimental to your study. You need to go back to the basics. I think that's the great thing about what we've learned about this music, is that regardless of where you are in terms of your development, you can still contribute. It's about communal engagement.
I love this music. I want everybody to play it. I want everybody to hear it. And that was the reason, to try and diversify the British jazz scene or the British music scene. I wanted to see more black instrumentalists and more female instrumentalists.
My generation, there is a sense of, I know it's been covered a lot in the press, like the whole London jazz scene, and sometimes the story takes away from what it actually is, which is a feeling. You can't really describe it. It's what I mean, the genuine connection between people. And
is if we could codify how we do the generational knowledge and things like that, then everybody would do it, and there wouldn't be any value, and it'd be on sale. You could buy it down at the train station. A lot of generational knowledge is based on love. And that's the one word and concept that those who want to work out, how do you keep doing this? Jazz is a lot of love, whether it's the love of the individual who loves the music or the love of the elders who want to pass on this great knowledge. I can only say it's love.
I think jazz is a historically oral tradition. That's how people learn, the youth learn, even seasoned musicians still continue to learn from their elders and their youngers coming up with them. That plays such a big part in the jazz idiom. That's kind of what it's about.
Your knowledge is passed on because you've obtained this knowledge from somebody else, older than you. And it's a continuation. So that hasn't stopped in jazz. It's the one common denominator. But there is that thing which is unwritten. You can't learn it in the universities. You actually learn that in life.
Education exists in jam sessions. It exists in shows. Whenever you're around musicians that you're inspired by and influenced by and can take knowledge from, you're listening to records, and transcribing anything like that is taken from the past.
In the same way, Ezra Collective just wouldn't be able to exist if we didn't spend that time learning about, from Duke Ellington, Clifford Brown, John Coltrane, Alice Coltrane, Ella Fitzgerald. But then, really importantly, you understand generational knowledge in the context that you're in. You understand it and what it means to you. What is the part that you play in this generation? Because when you really understand that, then you know the importance that each one has to teach one, which is something that I got from Tomorrow's Warriors. So what I've got from my generation, I need to pass that knowledge on to the next person.
Being surrounded by all these beautiful, amazing black people who are making this kind of music, that was hugely important to my understanding of self. It's one of the reasons why I know who I am now and know exactly what I want from life.
Moses, you're one of the musicians here tonight that was part of Tomorrow's Warriors. What was that experience like for you?
Incredible. So many fond memories. I think one important takeaway was, the minute I entered that world, it was like tapping into this generational knowledge. I had musicians older than me and musicians younger than me, but we were all kind of on the same path, learning together, each one teach one. And I think that's so vital for any musician, really.
And what played out there, sort of played out in the 60s if you go to America and played out historically? Tell me more about that.
Yeah, I think, jazz has definitely got a history and culture of mentorship. If you look at artists like Betty Carter, Art Blakey, Miles Davis, these are musicians that brought so many young musicians in their band and mentored them. And, that still carries on to this day, for sure.
And you're one of the guys that goes back to Tomorrow's Warriors. You're the older one now, and you're looking at the next generation. So what inspires you about them, and what gives you energy?
I think, it's just so exciting to see their ideas and hear what they're doing. They're looking at us, and, we're here, Jazz 625, playing with our peers. They see that as their representation. And as a result, they haven't got like glass ceilings on them. They're making music that's so exciting, so boundary pushing. For me, it's really exciting, really exciting.
They must feel so empowered watching you guys here tonight. This year's events and the temporary halt on festivals and live performances has given artists time to reflect, write and express themselves on issues that affect us all. Here's Poppy Ajudha performing her own song, which is a personal reflection on the Black Lives Matter movement.
America's on fire. They're gonna burn those cities down. The president's a tyrant. Ain't no reparations going round. It's been burning deep inside. Got us held down to the ground. Fed up, strung out on fire. Just pawns in their playground. Need to pull
powerful song there written by Poppy Ajudha in lockdown. Moses, what's this period of time been like for you creatively?
It's been interesting for sure. I think very grateful for this time. It's allowed me to kind of get back to making music, really loving that process and just doing it on my own terms, really. And, you know, just like me, these guys behind us have some new music for us. Sons of Kemet are back to perform an unreleased song from their forthcoming album. This track is called In Remembrance of Those Fallen. Take it away, guys.
An amazing new track from Sons of Kemet. What a great show we've had.
It's been incredible, man. So many good moments. I mean, double drums, what's not to love?
I saw you were like, yeah, double drums.
Trust me. And I mean, Sarathi, that amazing cover, Poppy, that great song. I mean, it's just had so many good moments throughout the show.
Feeling the live music, seeing it, enjoying it. I know you felt it through the TV screen and it's not over yet. So Moses, thank you for being an amazing presenter.
Yeah, pleasure. You know, it's been great. Thank you, Jams.
Your solo work was amazing.
Try.
One last job.
Yep, one more. I've got to play one more tune, play us out.
Yes, as a jazz supergroup, you go and get ready, and that gives me time to say my final goodbyes and thank you. So, a massive thank you to Sons of Kemet, Ezra Collective, Sarathi Korwa, Kokoroko, Nubya Garcia, Matthew Halsall, Theon Cross, Poppy Ajudha, and of course my super talented co-host Moses Boyd. He's going to play us out with a 60s classic from another fine drummer, Art Blakey. This is the Jazz 625 Next Generation Supergroup. Thank you so much for joining us. Moses, take it away.